For years I smiled on stage, while dying inside. Gloria Gaither, from her private journal 1978. In a discovery that has rocked the Southern gospel world. A long-lost personal journal belonging to Gloria Gaither, beloved songwriter, author, and spiritual icon, has surfaced, shedding light on the private pain, deep struggles, and shocking truths hidden beneath her polished public persona. How could one of the most revered women in Christian music be holding on to such heartbreaking secrets? What was so painful that she chose to never speak of it for decades? This is the untold story of the woman behind the music, and the truth even her fans never saw coming. Chapter 1: The discovery that shook everything. It started quietly. According to close family sources, while renovating the Gaither estate in Indiana, specifically a back room filled with vintage tapes, manuscripts, and memorabilia, a family archivist stumbled upon a dusty leather-bound journal dated from 1971 to 1983. The name etched into the back cover? Gloria S. Gaither, private. No one knew it existed. When the contents were first skimmed, staff described it as stunning, poetic, and absolutely heart-wrenching. At first there was hesitation about whether to make any of it public, but with Gloria now in her 80s and her legacy being discussed for future documentaries, the family believed it was time to tell her truth, and what's inside will change how you see her forever. Chapter 2: Behind every song was a wound. Gloria Gaither is best known for co-writing more than 700 Southern gospel classics, including Because He Lives, He Touched Me, and Something Beautiful. But according to her journal entries, many of these beloved hymns were born out of unbearable personal suffering. One excerpt reads, March 18, 1974, the studio smelled of old coffee and sadness. Bill was recording with the new girl again. He says her harmonies are effortless. I keep telling myself to smile, to be gracious. But inside, I am bleeding. Wait, the new girl? Fans are now speculating whether this refers to a young female singer from the Gaither vocal band era who rose to prominence during the early 70s. While no names are mentioned directly, the journal repeatedly references Gloria's feelings of invisibility, jealousy, and betrayal. People see us as the perfect couple. But what they don't know is how often I cry myself to sleep. This wasn't the picture-perfect gospel fairy tale fans had believed for decades. Chapter 3: Ministry, Money, and Manipulation. Another jaw-dropping section of the journal reveals Gloria's internal conflict with the commercialization of the ministry. October 5, 1977. I wanted this to be about souls. Now it feels like merch tables and royalties. The louder the applause, the lonelier I feel. Is this really what God intended? She describes moments of tension between the spiritual mission she envisioned and the growing business empire the Gaither brand was becoming. At one point, she even questions whether they had sold out. Every time we sign a new deal, I feel a piece of my spirit die. She talks about staff being overworked, emotional burnout, and the pressure to keep the Gaither smile on even when she felt deeply broken inside. Insiders say she almost walked away from it all in 1978, writing, If it weren't for the children, I'd leave tonight. Just disappear. Take the van and never look back. Chapter 4: Battles with Anxiety, Faith and Identity. Despite her elegant composure in public, Gloria's private writings reveal decades-long struggles with crippling anxiety, spiritual doubt, and a loss of identity. I am tired of being the wife of Bill Gaither. I want to be Gloria again. I want to sing for myself, think for myself, cry without being told it's ungrateful. She describes bouts of insomnia, panic attacks before performances, and a near mental breakdown in the early 1980s. Even more surprising, she questioned her faith. Where is God when I am gasping for air backstage? Does He care more about the people we perform for than He does about me? For many fans, this revelation is jarring. Gloria was always seen as the rock of faith. But in her journal she admits, I don't think I believe everything I sing anymore. But if I stop singing, who am I? Chapter 5: A Quiet Rift with Bill. While Gloria never directly accuses her husband, Bill Gaither, of infidelity or abuse, there are numerous entries that hint at emotional distance, loneliness, and what she describes as deep silences between us. May 21, 1979. He says, I'm overthinking again. Maybe I am. But why does he laugh more with her than he does with me? The her remains unnamed. Fans have speculated wildly online, some even suggesting a fellow singer or manager. But the journal provides no confirmation. What is clear, however, is that their marriage was tested more severely than anyone ever knew. They call us America's gospel couple. If only they knew how many times I've packed my suitcase. Despite the pain, Gloria also writes of hope. He still brings me coffee in the morning. Some days that's enough. It's a picture of a woman deeply in love, yet constantly at war with her own reality. Chapter 6. The Song That Saved Her Life. One of the most poignant revelations in the journal is how one particular song, Because He Lives, may have literally saved Gloria's life. I wrote the second verse through tears. The baby had just arrived. I was holding him in one arm, pen in the other. I didn't know if I could go on, but those words, they healed me. The line Because He Lives, I Can Face Tomorrow wasn't just for the audience. It was a cry for survival. Gloria reveals she was in a dark emotional valley after giving birth, likely postpartum depression, and felt overwhelmed by fame, family, and faith. That song pulled me back. I believed it while I sang it, even if only for those 3 minutes. It is perhaps the most powerful testimony of how the act of creating can be a lifeline, not just for listeners but for the artists themselves. Chapter 7. Grace, Healing, and Letting Go. The final entries in the journal, dated in the early 1980s, show a gradual process of healing and surrender. Gloria writes of learning to forgive Bill, the industry, and herself. Maybe we were never meant to be perfect. Maybe ministry is about limping together. She talks about rediscovering prayer, making peace with her past, and accepting that even broken people can still be used by God. My life was not the one I dreamed of. It was harder, lonelier, and far more painful. But it was also more beautiful than I ever imagined. She ends her final journal page with just 2 words, still believing. Chapter 8. The Internet Reacts. Fans in shock. Since news of the journal's existence broke, the Christian community online has exploded. YouTube videos, TikToks, and Twitter threads have all emerged, with hashtags like hashtag Gloria Gaither Journal, hashtag Because She Wrote, and hashtag Gaither Secrets trending across platforms. Some fans are heartbroken. I never knew she suffered so much. I'll never hear her songs the same way again. Others are inspired, knowing she went through that and still sang. I respect her even more. And of course, some critics are calling for clarity from the Gaither organization. Was this covered up? Did anyone know? Should more pages be released? Chapter 9. What Happens Now? Sources say a limited edition book may be in the works, compiling select pages of the journal, along with commentary from Gloria's children and gospel historians. There's also talk of a Netflix-style documentary, perhaps titled More Than Music, The Gloria Gaither Story. Whether or not the rest of the journal becomes public, one thing is certain: the world now knows that behind the lyrics was a woman of immense strength, fragility, and courage. Final words: they saw my lipstick, my dresses, my smile. But I wish they'd seen my tears too. Maybe then they'd know how deep the songs really go. Gloria Gaither's secret journal hasn't just revealed a personal history. It's redefined what it means to minister through music, not as a perfect vessel, but as a wounded worshiper, leading others to healing. And perhaps that, more than any lyric she ever wrote, is her real legacy.